Porsche Panamera is one of the most famous cars in the segment of coupe-shaped four-door vehicles with a lot of power. The Mercedes CLS is an alternative and also comparable if you put a big engine in it. To make an even sportier four-door coupe, Mercedes added the AMG GT four-door to their lineup. People wonder about the difference between the Mercedes CLS and the AMG GT four-door, and how do they compare to the Porsche Panamera? So we were asked to put all three of those in one video. Relax, take your time and enjoy this episode in full length, and tell us what your favorite is. The fastest Porsche Panamera ever, here in the form of the Panamera Turbo S Hybrid. All the new Porsche models have something in common. They have this new 4-dot design when you go for the LED headlights. 5 meters 05 or 16 foot 6 is the total length, and the hybrid, no matter if you go for the V6 or here the V8 hybrid, has this acid green scheme. 1, 2, 3, 4 massive exhaust pipes, no fake, here also in the same black color. This is also typical for the turbo. Tada, here it is, also with the frame in acid green, 4-liter V8. There's also the V6 hybrid. We drove that one in South Africa and had about consumption about 7 liters. And that's approximately the one you get with the diesel. So this can be a replacement for a diesel. Here more meant to be a power boost with the top version than the V8 hybrid with altogether 680 horsepower. And by 3.4 seconds to 100 kilometers, it's even 0.2 seconds faster than a normal V8 turbo. about the interior as we know from Porsche. Just little chrome elements right there, and in combination with the real carbon fiber we got there. Those levers here, they have also been covered now with a shiny black surface right there. And you see the design scheme is again as on the outside, when you put some wrap over something and pull it tight. When you put the seat very low, I'm on just 86 or 6'1", and especially when you do not have a panoramic roof mounted, there's plenty of headroom left. So the instruments with the acid green arrow here, nice detail, and you see the outer parts are digital, just the RPM meter is analog. Horizontal stress with the chrome elements, clean design, less buttons than in the previous generation. So one more closer look at the infotainment. In this hybrid mode you can also check out the e-flow. So there's the visualization when it's going back to the battery recuperation. Here with the visualization I can also explain you that the all-wheel drive is predominantly rear wheel bias. Also I like the visualizations. For example, here you can put out the spoiler, and it also shows them in the display. Now here, for example, to close it again, it's a very spectacular effect. Knee room is available also for taller adults, but again, is also a very long car. Headroom, here we profit that we don't have a panoramic roof, still some space left. Yeah, I mean, it's rather a fastback because you can already have this open access trunk. But then again, you have a high loading sill right there. You would not have it with the Sport Turismos. Check it out in comparison in that review. So guys, ready for rumble, time for the racetrack, and yeah, you know, I'm wearing jacket suit because this one here is a sports car in a suit, isn't it? And we're in the Sport Plus mode. Let's see how we can push this very racetrack. We also got an instructor in front of us just to be safe, and of course it's always nice for the camera as well to see another vehicle in front of us driving, which is also a Panamera Turbo S. And we are getting going here, just a first introduction round, and then later on we're going faster and faster and faster. We also see that the vehicle in front of us has the wing outside completely now. Now it's in again. There you can see how it varies depending on the speed. And the suspension is really super comfortable. So it can have something when you have this vehicle here on the racetrack rather than a 911, because the 911 is of course rougher. Just listen to the sound a little bit here in the Sport Plus mode. And I also have this electric boost then, altogether 680 horsepower. Of course, the main thing is here the petrol engine for this very vehicle. You have also seen the launch control, which was amazing really. With the help of the electric engine, that was really like serious stuff. All-wheel drive system. You can also take a look at the all-wheel drive distribution, mostly in the rear. And the more I hammer the throttle, the more comes also to the front. You can also see it in the instruments, maybe on camera. How easy this car is to handle. Now the tires are starting to squeak a little bit. I mean, it has some serious weight with it. You know, that's the only disadvantage, basically. But for this weight, considering the size of the car, it's really so well to handle. I mean, it's a over 5 meters, 60'6" long sedan. Look at how agile this vehicle is. And now to our conclusion, Porsche Panamera Turbo S Hybrid, the new top-of-the-line model. Exterior rise, really dramatic with the additional styling elements. I like the acid green styling elements in detail, especially also in the interior. Brings a little bit more spice with those green arrows, for example. Great processing in the interior. As a sedan, still quite flexible in the interior, especially with this fastback opening. If you want even more, then go for the Sport Turismo. Check out the review in the video description about that. Of course, as with other Panamera models, they lack on sustainable seating surfaces. They have to introduce that. Racetrack experience, that was really amazing. Hardly any other car at this weight, at this size, can be so agile on the racetrack, and it was even fun on the racetrack, although with this massive size. The performance, especially you've seen the launch control, we don't have to talk about that. This one can keep up with any other real small sports car performance-wise. Really impressive, and also interesting that they had the choice to get the top-of-the-line model as a hybrid. And even more interesting to me is the same way that what I found with the V6 hybrid. Riding electric fits to this vehicle, and the funny thing is that the electric driving, and pure electric with the silence and the serenity of this vehicle is almost more fun, or maybe to me is more fun than really hammering this car on the racetrack. And then that is, I think, one of the key findings also to me actually for today. What do you think about this vehicle here? About the both extreme aspects from pure silence to real loudness and launch control? Tell me in the comments. The all-new generation of the Mercedes CLS. First of all, the front grille, it opens to the lower side. That's like with the Mercedes-AMG GT. So basically a sportier approach. 4.98 m or 16'3" is the total length of this vehicle. And well, you see in the side profile, especially around the door area, there are no hard design lines. This is a new trend, basically a retro trend, to go back with a more simplistic round way. Then rims starts with 18-inch. The AMG or AMG line come with 19-inch, as it is here at the moment. So the rear, it has basically a very round shape. The taillights are now more horizontally drawn. Here the CLS 53 has this additional small wing lip, but I think it's not really fitting to the design of the vehicle. This vehicle looks better when it looks like a raindrop from the rear as a whole. So this is also a main difference to the Audi A7. Here you flip the logo and then you have a separate trunk. The A7 has this concept with a huge hatch to open, and you can see you are limited in height. Just in length, you can put some, cabin trollers here or backpacks. We have put some luggage inside. You can see how much it can actually take. Central purity is the design scheme, and I can explain that very soon, a little bit more. We start first with the seats. In all CLS variants, they come standard with a fabric leatherette mix, fabric inside, leatherette outside. That's really nice. And the AMG line, it is then Dinamica microfiber inside and leatherette outside. And in this test vehicle, it's the optional full animal skin, which is a lot firmer to sit on. You sit relatively low and flat, and well, you can basically compare it indeed also with the E-Class. You can electronically adjust the steering wheel here. That's a good comfort feature. By the way, the A7 does not have that. That's really funny, right? Headroom wise is, well, I have the seat a little bit pumped up higher, that I have a better seating angle, but also with this small glass roof here, I'm 1.86 m or 6'1", and I'm almost touching the ceiling with my head. So while I present you the interior overview, I make this multicolor animation that it runs through the different colors, and wow, so well done with those, turbine vents. I think they're beautiful, but some others don't like it. But I think it's great that they have the lights here inside and the ambient light below that line. And wow, really a lot to look at. Definitely a cockpit with a wow effect. So when you have it all digital in here, it's very interesting. You can have those two thumb controls here for the left thumb, for example. You have a home button where you can change, from trip or GPS commands and stuff. And then you can easily set it up while driving. I think it's a quite nice idea. Also able to change the design from sport to classic here or to so-called progressive, different possibilities. And also then the command for the Distronic, the ACC, is now at the steering wheel with the left thumb. Then if we go to the right side, you also have this trackpad which you can press basically to select something, or just scroll, and then in the right screen you can zoom in and out. It's available now for S-Class and E-Class, and it will also be the same for even for the new Mercedes Sprinter and the top GPS trim level for the new A-Class and stuff. And I just discovered I even had the seat in the lowest position, but then I can hardly put my feet underneath it. Seating-wise from the knees, it's still okay with those gaps here, but then headroom-wise, it's really catastrophical. So this is probably the car with the most room on the interior wasted. It's a very long vehicle. Ta-da! Here we go with the R6, so a 6-cylinder, 3-liter of displacement, petrol turbo, either with 367 horsepower in the CLS 450 or here with 435 horsepower in the CLS 53, and both have 22 horsepower extra from the electric engine. So it's an inbuilt hybrid, a new 48-volt mild hybrid, so to say, and for more power and more efficiency both. We have seen other manufacturers do that now. We will also compare the consumption to the Audi A7 we have tested recently. And there will also be two diesel engines, 3-liter as well, 286 horsepower or 340 horsepower. So now we found a spot which is not so wet, just a little bit, for our dynamic driving mod. That's great. And we go to the sport mode. And let's see, I mean, you do lose some comfort due to the suspension with the AMG setup, but you gain this here, this absolute control of the car, natural driving feeling, shifting down with this 9-speed MCT, some multi-clutch technology. Wow. And of course, the seat bolsters are turning up. A little bit losing the grip here with the wet road. You feel it just a little bit, but naturally to control. And suddenly this rather long and somehow bulky car feels super agile and fast to control, and it's of course super fun. You do feel the weight still. That's a difference to a smaller car, so it pushes you a little bit then inside the corners, or well, to the outside of the corner then, so to say. You have this rear wheel bias from the all-wheel drive. You're not only with the rear wheel drive then, so also torque is distributed to the front wheels, but it still remains this rear wheel bias. And wow, I'm riding actually quite fast here and great corners, so smooth this whole transition here. We also have a good tarmac surface here. Look also how precise the steering wheel is according to where I'm steering on the road. That's really a lot of fun. And those active seats help me when the side bolsters are pumped up where I'm actually going to. That's really cool stuff. We also, by the way, let's use this straight to show you something here, because we also have this telemetry system. That is pretty interesting. So you can also see the speed right there. And also those telemetry for the acceleration, so you can do some fancy race stuff if anyone will ever go to the racetrack with this vehicle. That's really funny. Wow, now we're going up there to the fork. Pretty neat surrounding here also. I really like this landscape. Great control from the steering wheel again. The sound is somehow subtle, so it's not too much, but you know, as we shown you earlier, when you are in the basement garage and then go on the throttle in the Sport Plus mode, then you still hear enough of that for sure. There is also this Sport Plus mode available, but when the road is a little bit slick as it is here now, it's definitely good to still have some electronic stability support, you know, from the EC. So you have to be careful with that. The Sport mode is already giving you a little bit more freedom, but it's not that harsh then. So that's still quite good. Wow, that looks pretty fancy here. And I can tell you guys, I'm having a lot of fun. Indeed, you can, from the driving dynamics wise, you can compare it to an E43. Exterior it is a little bit sharper, at least in front and rear, but the side is actually quite round and actually timeless. You can still see it is a CLS, I think. It is based on this E-Class platform, and you can see that also, especially on the interior. The interior still very sensual, has this wow effect. Very nice, for example, with the ambient light, with the temperature that is, you know, that you can see that in red and blue, depending on the temperature you are choosing. That's a really nice emotional effect. And also enough of sustainable seating surfaces available like that too. Then driving-wise, really comfortable and sovereign as we know it from the CLS. I think the difference to the previous generation is not super huge. Existing customers will still realize it's their CLS. But as we have told you, some tweaks here and there, especially technology-wise. The lights, for example, which are updated, and also a lot of the infotainment system for sure with this dual screen setup in the optional way. And you can very well also control that while driving. In driving, still a very sovereign car. This AMG version here, then a little bit stiffer, of course. I would, you know, go for the softer variant, for example, the 450 petrol engine, because I think it makes much more sense together with this car. And if you then compare it with the all-new A7, I think the A7 somewhere has a sportier touch. Really makes you want to drive the car. This one here is more relaxed and you are being driven by the vehicle. That's, you know, the two different focuses of those vehicles. Everything else is a lot of what you really prefer yourself or not, design-wise, for example, on the exterior.
And I have the key to the all-new AMG GT 63S four-door coupe.
Mercedes and AMG have always been yin and yang, beauty and the beast. But recently, with the GT series, AMG has taken over the reins and developed their own cars. The new GT 63S four-door coupe is the latest addition. It has the beauty, elegance, and sophistication of Mercedes-Benz. But inside, it's still a wild and angry beast. At its heart is a growling bi-turbo V8, capable of launching this car to 100 kilometers an hour in just 3.2 seconds, shredding its tires in the process. So then, the new GT four-door coupe, yin and yang, beauty and beast, a luxury super sport saloon and a track weapon? Let's find out.
The front of the GT four-door is very similar to its two-door sibling. That means we have the AMG Panamera grille, which is very iconic, very low, gives a very snouty, aggressive look. You get multiple different options in terms of the exterior design package. In this black edition, all of these little embellishments and accents are all in glossy black, but depending on the package, you can also get them in chrome. The GT four-door has proper super sport sedan proportions. So you have a long front bonnet, a long body. This is actually 5 meters long. It's also very wide, has a very stable stance on the road, and the roofline is also very swooping and very low. 43 and the 53 as standard come with coilover suspension with adaptable dampers. The air suspension comes as standard with the 63 and is an option on the other variants as well. As we move along to the side, the rear lights are very slim and wrap around the end of the car, gives that emphasis on the width. Although the car is already wide, I don't know why you need to emphasize that even more. Most importantly, with the aerodynamic package, you will get a fixed carbon fiber spoiler. In this case, this is an integrated flushed spoiler which will deploy only at high speeds. But I think, given the fact that this car is more for Autobahn cruising, and of course we can take it on the track, which we will see later on in this review here on the circuit, I think this is a much more cleaner look. This is 456 liters of boot space, and with the seats down it goes up to 1,324 liters. You get, as standard, a normal sports seat, which you can also get with Dinamica microfiber and synthetic leather, which Artico synthetic leather, which I think is a great option. The upgraded sports seats, on the other hand, are a bit too firm for everyday use. And let's be honest, even though this is a very sporty car, you're not going to be driving it on the track every day. First of all, the thing that you'll notice the most is this large display. There are two 12.3-inch screens, which we've seen earlier before in some other Mercedes cars. So nothing new, but this car obviously has that. The 63 comes with this setup. As standard, you can get this optionally in the 43 and the 53. The dashboard itself is pretty stiff actually on the top, but there is some plush materials over here, and it's fairly shallow, but I like the way it wraps around you. As you can see, it just wraps around, connects with the door, so it kind of feels like you're in a very cozy cockpit. You have a heads-up display which gives you a lot of useful information. It's also a very large and colorful heads-up display, so it's pretty cool. Of course, you can connect your telephone, media, radio. You can have your navigation on this as well. Right now there is no map navigation running, but then you can have that on the screen. As you can see, we have different options for just a rear angle. You have a rear plus 3/4 angle, the full side view. And speaking of the driving profiles, you can select them on this this knob, very similar to the Porsche steering wheel, which also has this kind of a system. Soft close, window goes up, and yes, I think that the space in the back is not that great. The space overall is a bit tight. In fact, I think the Panamera, which I did drive, unfortunately we don't have a review. I don't have a review, but you can watch the other reviews that our team has done. I think there's a little bit more space in the Panamera. Let's see what powers this beast. Wow. But let's take a step back. First of all, gas charged struts, acoustic damping, of course. So the GT 4-door coupe is available with 2 engines and 4 states of tune. The first engine would be on the AMG GT 43 and the 53. This is a 3-liter inline-6 turbo petrol engine with an electric auxiliary compressor called the EQ Boost. This is a mild hybrid system, so the electric motor assists the engine and helps give a little bit of extra boost when it's required, up to 22 horsepower. The base 43 has 367 horsepower and 500 Newton meters of torque. Then we have the AMG 4-liter bi-turbo V8 petrol engine. And the 63S, which is the most powerful one, the one we have here, makes 639 horsepower and 900 Newton meters of torque. That's incredible. So you might know this engine, it's fairly familiar, and of course they're always developing it ever so slightly from each iteration. So the 2 turbochargers are nestled within the bank. So there's one bank here, 4 cylinders, and another bank here, hence making the V8. And the turbos are actually right between the 2 banks. You can see them here. And these are twin turbos, so there's 2, one for each bank, but these are also twin scroll. So 2 twin scroll turbos. has immediate responses. It's incredible. That biturbo V8 is just so smooth and so silky. So that 900 Newton meters, you have that to play with almost everywhere in the torque, in the power band. And that noise is just addictive. Every time you let off the throttle, it just spits and crackles. It's so engaging. The shifts are also instant with these paddle shifters that you have. You can shift up and shift down. Steering feel in Sport Plus mode is also impeccable. Gives you such great feedback. Oh man. And let's put the engine, the gearbox in manual mode. Drop it down to first gear. Whoa! It's incredible. The acceleration is just visceral. Just throws you in the back of the seat. And I really like the display. It gives you that flashing red signal for you to shift up when you're hitting the red line, which, by the way, comes so quickly. Alright guys, you joined me on board the AMG GT 4-door coupe GT, 63S on the Circuit of the Americas racetrack. So let's do a hot lap and see how we do and try to analyze the car. On the straightaway, I'm going 125, 130 uphill. The car is shuddering a little bit, but I suspect that's because at this press event with so many different drivers, the tire air pressure has changed a bit. I'm in race mode with the traction control on the sport mode, so that is partially off, not completely off. Now we're coming into some chicanes and S-bends. The car does handle its weight pretty well, and thanks to that torque vectoring 4MATIC all-wheel drive system, the car does rotate so very nicely. And of course, I am really at the ragged edge of grip when it comes to this car at these speeds on this track. And I can see that while the car is incredibly well balanced, it does tend to understeer when pushed really hard. But of course, if you are going to be driving an AMG on the track, this is perhaps not the best track AMG out there. The standard GT 2-door coupe is perhaps better, but otherwise this car still does a great job. Steering is really good, gives really good feedback. The torque vectoring diff throws power to the rear to give you a little bit of oversteer when you need it to go around corners like that. Now we're on the straightaway high-speed section of the track, 130 miles per hour, 140. Hard braking over here. Brake feel is really good, brakes in a straight line. I do believe there is a little bit of problem on this race car in terms of the wheel balancing, but dives in very nice. Part throttle on the exit, control that oversteer, trail brake into this corner apex there, gently power on. The engine sounds so nice as well, a very linear power delivery. Let's summarize today's episode of the AMG GT 4-door coupe 63S 4MATIC Plus that we drove. Well, the 43 starts at 95,000 euros. The 53 is about 110,000 euros. The standard 63 starts at 150,000 euros, and the 63S starts at 167,000 euros, but with options, it can easily touch and cross 200,000 euros as well. A pretty expensive car, but at par with its competitors like the Porsche Panamera. So, what do I think? Well, I think it's a really great combination. It is a beauty and a beast, with these elegant lines, but at the same time also has that aggressive touch. The 4-liter V8 biturbo engine can also be very docile and quiet while going on the highway, shut down 4 of its cylinders, become very economical, but at the same time on the racetrack it can become a growling beast. The space on the interior, I think, is a little bit disappointing. I wish it was a little bit more spacious, considering the fact that this is supposed to be a 4-person family super sport sedan. I think that way as well the Panamera might be a little bit bigger. Also, the interiors are really cool, but I wish some things were still, changed. Like for example, I still wish the displays were touchscreen. I hope they change that. And the volume knob on the center console is a rocker, and I would prefer to have a knob. But these are fairly minor niggles, except for perhaps the space in an otherwise very well-rounded yet expensive package.
So where does that leave us? The Porsche Panamera is powerful in every version. It offers a very refined and comfortable drive and already offers a very good plug-in hybrid version, where we can especially recommend the 6-cylinder PHEV. The turbo PHEV is the top of the line model with abundance of power, but still can be driven in a calm way. The Panamera is also available with long wheelbase if you want more legroom, and also as a Sport Turismo to make the luggage compartment more suitable. Our recommendation: a Panamera 6-cylinder PHEV as Sport Turismo. That's at the moment the best price-performance deal. Whereas the drivetrain is awesome and the plug-in hybrid also future-proof and performs very well, there is sadly no animal skin alternative for the seats yet in the Panamera. Well, we have the GTS version. That at least gives you a lot of microfiber. That would be the first alternative they offer, but only in parts. The Mercedes CLS does feature a lot of things from the Mercedes E-Class, but also adds some more design element to it, with the costs of especially losing rear headroom. Without doubt, it is also a very refined top luxury car. If you seek comfort, get one of the non-AMG versions with the great air suspension. The front seats are very well done. Also, you can have several non-animal skin seating options here. But the advantages to the other E-Class models are not that clear. As for future drivetrains, they offer just a mild hybrid version, however that one did not show much saving effects. The Mercedes-AMG GT 4-door is a very sporty one without compromise. It has 4 doors but is more a sports car than a luxury 4-door coupe. Finally, it does not have less room in the rear and in the trunk than the CLS. Just the front seating position is more comfortable in the CLS. Design-wise, the Mercedes-AMG GT 4-door is our favorite. Both exterior and interior. The Mercedes CLS offers the best seats. However, as for the combination of comfort and sportiness, the Porsche Panamera leads the 2 Daimler models. It is incredible how a big and heavy 4-door coupe, or sedan, however you want to define it or call it, can be that sporty, but without compromising on normal driving comfort. So what is your favorite in different aspects and your favorite overall?